On this week's episode, we will be going over some Timberwolves news as they head down the stretch, some wild news as they get closer to the playoffs, and we'll also touch on some Minnesota Twins stuff and their latest struggles, as well as we'll end this episode off with our snake draft of our favorite desserts.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of You Like That podcast. Today we have a lot of on our plate and we'll get right into it. Let's go right into the Timberwolves. Some recent ups in the Timberwolves, but for some reason it doesn't feel good that they keep winning. Let's start with the rookie of the year race. LaMelo Ball is back and he's playing. He could play average and get favored. So let's start with that.
Yeah, I mean, we got like 5 games left of the season, and Lamelo Ball is still like a minus 500 betting favorite. I don't know how this is the case because Anthony Edwards is almost putting up 20 points per game now, but the media keeps standing Lamelo, posts everything about him. Bleacher Report posted a clip the other day of him like taping his wrist, and it literally just captioned Lamelo gets help taping his wrist or something like that. But yeah, LaMelo Ball is still a favorite, but Anthony Edwards has been playing some great basketball lately. So hopefully he can give LaMelo a run for his money and convince the biased voters that he is the rookie of the year as we head into these final 5 games.
Yeah, speaking of Anthony Edwards, he's been lights out this whole season, but more recently in the last month or so. But how's he been since D'Angelo Russell has returned?
Yeah, it has been absolutely fantastic. I'm pulling up the stats here quick, but Anthony Edwards, hey, he's caught on since All-Star break and he's playing a lot more efficiently. Here, the stats are here. Anthony Edwards stats since D'Lo returned 18 games ago. Anthony Edwards is averaging 22.7 points per game, 6.1 rebounds a game, which is a huge jump from his first half. He's rebounding a lot more. 3.7 assists per game, which is also like double what he had in the first half of the season. 1.4 steals. So he's been active on the defensive end as well. His 3-point shooting percentage is almost up to 36% now. He's shooting extremely efficient from 2-point. His true shooting percentage is above league average, and his usage rate is really high too. So he's putting up these efficient numbers while he's getting used like very frequently in the Wolves offense, which is extremely rare for a rookie, especially at 19 years old, be used as frequently as Anthony Edwards is and still be putting up these huge numbers and being fairly efficient doing so. So the progression of Anthony Edwards since even the beginning of the season to when Cat got back and now D'Lo's back, just the progression of him and how he's gotten so much better at basketball during that time is extremely important for the Wolves' future, and it's exciting to see the path that he's trending towards it with his NBA career.
Yeah, the Wolves, it's starting to seem, and I haven't watched much, probably one or two in the last month, but you know, him playing better with D'Lo and Cat playing well, it almost makes it feel better. If if the Timberwolves don't get a lottery pick, you almost feel
Yeah.
like they have a future to work with instead of being screwed. But the Wolves, speaking of that, are climbing in the standings, but not in the way that we like. Get into what the current lottery odds are right now and what you think the final 3 games. How
Yeah.
many games are left?
It's like 5 or 6 games left in the season, but as we get close to the end, the Wolves, as we know, were sitting at the bottom spot in the league for quite some time. And like a month ago, that got overtaken by the Rockets, who just got aggressively bad since they traded James Harden away to the Nets. But we were sitting at 2 for about a month and a half, just ahead of Houston. And last night we play the Orlando Magic, who are just as bad as us, and we beat them by like 40 points. So there's like 4 teams tied with the same record, 3 teams tied with the same record. So we jumped last night. We jumped from the second worst team in the NBA to the sixth worst team in the NBA, which dramatically decreased our top 3 lottery odds, which I mean, like you said, there's a bright spot to this. It's that our team's playing really well together. Since D'Lo's gotten back, we've been a 9-9 basketball team, which in the NBA, that's enough to make a really like late seed or really like a 7 or 8 seed in the playoffs. So next year obviously is looking bright, even if we don't add a lottery pick, because we could likely be fighting for an 7 or 8 seed, potentially in the play in games for next year's playoffs. But yeah, the Wolves are winning, and the way it's looking, we're gonna be the sixth worst team. I don't see any of these teams at the bottom. We're all better than them right now. They're all like 1-9 in their last 10 because they're actively trying to tank. And the Wolves aren't really doing that. So as it sits, our lottery odds are we have around 32% chance of staying in the top three, compared to if we were in the second spot like we were before last night. It's about like a 35 or 36% chance. So it's not huge, but I know those extra percentages are always help, especially when you can add a player, a top three player in the NBA draft instead of getting absolutely nobody.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's a bummer, but I almost see it as in you finally get to see the big three together.
Yeah.
And I know it's a bummer to lose, but it's exciting to watch at least.
It
And it gets fans to buy tickets. But
It would hurt so much more if Anthony Edwards wasn't good. Like
yeah,
if it was just like Cat and D'Lo winning these games, it's like okay, like we still need another piece. But just the progression of Anthony Edwards has made this a lot easier to handle
yeah.
as we climb the standings. But yeah, Anthony Edwards is quickly turning into our franchise player.
And this helps shape the outlook of the free agency, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It
I
kind of
mean,
makes it they might go out and get somebody big if they don't get that number two, three.
yeah, the issue is we don't have a ton of cap space, unless I mean Rubio probably won't be returning next year. But we don't have a ton of cap space. But how Chris Finch he's been a fantastic coach in his time here, and he's really gotten our players to play really, really well. So I think they kind of know what they want to do with their offense, what they want to do with their team next year. And that's why I was a fan of firing Ryan Saunders and finding his replacement as soon as we did, so we can get our next head coach in the door and we can figure out what we want to be for next year. And I think we've done that extremely well. So I think they got a plan for this offseason. They know kind of what they want to be. They know what pieces we're missing. We can go out in free agency this offseason, grab some of those pieces we're missing, and try to make ourselves a more complete basketball team. And I think they'll do that. And I think like we said, the Timberwolves might actually uh, be. I'm not a super optimistic Timberwolves fans, as many people know, but the Timberwolves might actually be vying for a decent playoff spot next season.
Yeah, that's definitely exciting. We'll switch into some more Minnesota sports news. Let's go into the Wild, who it's the complete opposite end of the spectrum in terms of winning. Well, the Timberwolves are winning, but the Wild are in a playoff spot, and
Timberwolves are
they're
winning. The
still
Wild
fighting
are
for that number
competing.
two spot. Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, let's start with Kaprizov. I mean, he had 4 goals, or he had 8 points in his last four games played. He has a total of 51 points, 27 goals. I might be doing the math wrong, just quick math, but I think 51, 27 goals, 24 assists. And I mean, plus 11, plus minus is iffy, but the Wild have had struggled with forwards with plus minus the last numerous amount of years. And I mean, this is a superstar in the making. I don't think he's the sole reason why this team is a playoff contender and a contender this year. I think they're a solid contender. The betting odds, we'll get into it a little bit, but I mean, Kaprizov has put himself in contention to being one of the best wingers in the entire NHL, and I think he has an extremely bright future. And that led to him getting one of the 3 stars of the week this week.
Yeah, he pretty much ended any discussion of anyone else winning the Calder this year.
Oh
He's
yeah,
just
I
been
think
so
he's
unreal.
yeah.
And we talked about Anthony Edwards earlier. Like we've got and Kaprizov too. We've got two really young guys in Minnesota that are already like going to be the face. We can already see are going to be the faces of the franchise, and that's a really exciting thing for a sports state to have is two young guys that you know are going to be really, really, really good players for the next 10 years.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. He's electric to watch, and he brings the element that the Wild have been lacking. I mean, Fiala showed what he can do last year, and another player who's done stuff that we haven't seen since Gabrick. But them two together are they're something special when they get the chance to play together on the power play or sometimes in overtime. But another Wild player achievement. I think he was up for this last year too. I mean, he's a great human being outside of hockey. Matt Dumba's up for the Masterson's Trophy. That's just like the Walter Payton Award in football, and he shows everything that's he should have won it last year in my opinion. But I think I mean he does this every single year, and whether or not he's on the roster next year, I mean Matt Dumba is one of the best human beings in the entire NHL, and I mean obviously the skill and stuff, but it's something I want to point it out. He's up for this 2 years in a row. That's not a the Wild have had this, I think, in Jason Zucker in the Zucker Foundation. I don't think that's what it's called, but he does have a nice big foundation. But Matt Dunn, just with his help in the community and what he does off the ice, is very, very noteworthy and impressive. Um, yeah, I don't know how much else there is to say about it. It's just it's very proud for him, I'm sure.
Yeah, you gotta love having those players that you are great role models for fans and for younger kids learning to love the Wild. But we're getting close to the playoffs. Do you know how many games exactly are left?
Yeah, so we have 2 games against the St. Louis Blues. Those are 2 makeup games. So let's talk about playoff scenarios then. So the Wild currently sit third in the Honda West division behind Colorado. I think it's all but booked that we're gonna play Colorado, and Colorado has 3 games left. We have 2, and so if say we win the next 2 against St. Louis, which is we have, it's been hard to do the last couple games against St. Louis. They're a hard team to beat this year for us. I'm not sure why. We own the Knights. I mean, obviously everybody struggles against the Avalanche, but the Knights are the best team in the league. They're going to win the President's Trophy, and we've owned them, but we can't beat the last team in our division. But it's all but settled that we're going to play the Avalanche. I don't think it really matters if it's at home or not. We actually played better against them this year away, and in the past, actually, we've won series away and home against them. But I think we're going to be third just because they have a game in hand. We could sweep the Blues, and they could lose 2 of the 3. But I don't see that happening. But yeah,
Um,
I think it's gonna be.
it, Forgive me for being dumb, but is every series in the NHL playoffs 7 games?
Yeah, I've
Was
seen that
that
question
different?
actually a lot.
Was that different last
Yeah,
year?
yeah, because there was playing games. There's no playing
Okay,
games
so
this year.
that's why
This
that
is
threw me
normal
off.
playoffs,
All right, that's why
normal-ish
that threw me
playoffs. I mean,
off.
there's no wild card this year, but yeah, so they'll play the Colorado Avalanche. There's 7 series, and I think they go to the Vegas Knights, and then they go to start playing the other division, or assuming the Vegas Knights or the St. Louis Blues.
Who would be who would be your favorite? Who's the betting favorite to win the Stanley Cup? And who's your favorite at this point to win it?
Okay, this kind of surprised me. So people say the Honda West division is very soft, and you could say it's very top heavy, I think. But people say it's a soft division. The Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights are both favored to win the Stanley Cup at plus 500.
Really?
Yeah, that's the 2 top teams in our division, and the one that there's a chance we could over rank in the division. And yeah, it doesn't look great for us that we have to play the betting favorite. The Wild sit at just under the Winnipeg Jets at plus 1,600, which it's around the lowest. It's not near the lowest, but it's it's not high. I, I mean, if I was a betting man, I would put a bet on the Minnesota Wild.
Well, you
I
said
think they have
what
better
plus
chances.
1400?
1,600.
So 1600. Yeah, those are really like not great odds. Like
And
good
I
odds for
think
betting, but like not
that's what
great
I think.
odds.
Yeah, and
We're kind of getting slept on.
I have more confidence in this team than Vegas apparently, but yeah, the Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche. If I had to pick a winner, other than the Minnesota Wild, just because I mean this is the most confidence I've had in them since we lost to Anaheim in 2009, and that wasn't a year where we were supposed to win. The Colorado Avalanche are a team it seems like they're getting closer and closer each year, but then they lose in the playoffs, and that's the same with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I think the Toronto Maple Leafs this will be their year. Um, they've just been they have everything to win. The only question is Frederick Anderson or a Jack Campbell if they can be serviceable in the playoffs. You need a good goalie to win. The other surprising thing is Pittsburgh is plus 1,200. It just seems way too high for them. But move on. But I mean, the Lightning, you can't bet against the Lightning, I guess either.
What threw me off is that I think they're tied for the best team in the league right now, but the Carolina Hurricanes, since when have they
Oh, they're
been like
good. That's
good?
another team.
Since when have they been
Yeah,
that good?
they're plus 550. They started. They kind of came out of nowhere about 2 years ago, and they did that big the Skulls chant and the storm warning, and they did all those off ice shenanigans that Don Cherry called them jerks, and they got a little more media coverage, and that not that that made them good, but it almost like sparked something. It started becoming good, and their coach Rod Brainarmer. I'm going to pronounce that wrong. He is a top coach. He may be winning the Jack Adams Award this year, the Coach of the Year. Dean deserves it, I think, but he deserves it as well. He's a heck of a coach. And I like the Carolina Hurricanes. They're a
And
very good team. Yeah,
Nino still plays there, right?
and that's what I was just gonna say is yes, my darling Nino Rider still plays for them, and they have great
That's right.
goaltending as well. It's just a good team. They have a team that could make a run in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be exciting. I'm ready for even though the Wolves won't be competing in the playoffs. I'm just ready for playoffs in general, getting to watch
Yeah,
watch NHL playoffs this upcoming week and then NBA playoffs as they get into that a couple weeks down the road. But we're nearing the end of these two seasons and pretty soon it's gonna be a dead period where it's only baseball.
baseball. Yeah, and that's a great transition into our next topic. Maybe sadder. The Timberwolves are winning, but that's sad.
Wins.
But
Oh yeah.
this might be sadder because there were such high expectations for this
Very
Twins team,
high. I
the
had
Bomba
expectations, and
squad.
I never have
Oh,
expectations.
yeah.
And I had expectations this year.
The Bomba squad is not hitting too many bombas. They are 12-20, second to last in the Central tie. I think their record is fairly close with the last place Detroit Lions. Last place Detroit Lions too, but Detroit Tigers. They're a disaster.
And right when we started talking about how good Byron Buxton is more than we talked
Oh
about how
no.
injury prone he is, that's when he gets hurt. He has to remind us
Yeah.
that he cannot stay healthy for more than 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah, and he's missed a couple games this year, but he's came back and played just as well. But this
Couple
one,
weeks.
what was it again? Was it a hip?
I don't know. I can't keep track of it. I
Some
believe
lower
it was a
body.
hip. I believe it's a hip and it's at least a couple weeks.
Yeah. I mean,
But
that's a gut shot to the Twins.
I feel like Buxton's gonna be that guy that when he retires, it's gonna be what could have this guy been if he actually could have been healthy during at any point during his career? Because he's shown so many flashes lately. The last couple of seasons, he's had stints where you're like, okay, this guy's easily our team's best player, and it's just not sustainable. Not because he's playing bad, but because he just can't stay on the field. And he's
Yeah.
already, you said 27, 28 years old, and
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he shows that he can be a top player in the MLB. But that health issue, I mean, he was just running down first base. And I mean, again, and then this kind of goes into our next thing, but Alex Grilloff was called up, our top prospect. We wanted him there at first. He he went for like an 0 for 16 or something or 0 for something.
yeah, he was bad for a little while.
And then he started hitting, getting like 1 for 4 days, and then he hit home runs, and he had like 5 games with 4 home runs, and then a wrist issue where he's had an issue in the past with the wrist, and it just continues and he goes on the IL without a timetable. I think he's hitting coming up this week. He's going to try to swing. That's another bat though that struck when he was trying to get hot. that team was winning a little more. I think they were playing Kansas City and they beat them. I think they tied the series, but they were winning. They were getting runs and their bullpen would let it up. That's just how the year's gone. But
Typical Twins baseball.
yeah, they just can't find the bats when they need them. I think they're 0 for 7 in extra innings this year. So that hurts as well. That's 7 wins that they could have. And you put 7 wins on the board and it's an 18 and 20 18 no, I'm not going to do the math. I'm not going to expose myself, but they're closer. I think they have a winning record. So it's super frustrating. Um and yeah,
Yeah, so
Josh
we lost
Donaldson's
Kirilov
yeah,
to what, injury or whatever.
wrist.
So we called up another top prospect to the MLB, Trevor Larnach, who I believe we picked him
First round.
2020, yeah, first round in 2018. He was a
Yep.
really, really good player at Oregon State. And we've been waiting on him for a while. I think he's the number 3 prospect in our system, if I'm not mistaken, but a lot of hype surrounding him. And we'll see what he can be able to do with the Twins, and hopefully it's something, because we need it, and we need it fast, or we're gonna easily fall out of the playoff race altogether.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. He had an incredible minor league season in 2019, I think it was. He hit. Oh, that's 2018,
Three
2019.
He's hit. Okay, looking at it now, in 2018, 2019, he hit over 300 both those
Yep,
seasons. Uh
13 home runs.
he 13 home runs. He's swiped a couple bags too. 147 hits in 2019, but like obviously minor leagues didn't play in 2020 because of the pandemic. Only the MLB teams did. So he hasn't played a game in 2 years. He started this year, obviously, with the St. Paul Saints, who are our new AAA team, but finally called up to the leagues after not playing for a year or so. We'll see what he can show on a major league level.
Yeah, he's not a guy who's gonna hit a ton of home runs like Kirilov. He's gonna have. He's a good hitter. And obviously power can come later, but he's a good hitter. That's what he's shown. He can get on base a lot. And that's what the Twins need. But they have been getting on base. But then you got Miguel Sano striking out 4 times a game. So
I I can't stand Miguel Sano.
no, I don't
I
get
feel
how he's in
like
the MLB.
I feel like he comes back every season even fatter than the year before, and striking out even more than the year before, making less contact than the year before. And it's just so hard to watch a player that had so much potential just never get better.
Yeah, he strikes out more than I can see anybody being in. He strikes out way too much to be on an MLB roster right now. He needs to be sent down, even no matter how old he is. And I know there's service years or some confusing crap in baseball, but that's not an MLB player striking out 3 times and maybe getting a hit every 3 games
Yeah.
and maybe getting a home run once in a while. But yeah, but yeah, that can wrap up our depressing Twins talk. We're gonna do our last segment. Be a quick, short, sweet episode today, as Matt heads off on vacation.
Yes. Going to Utah the next week. So uh get away from get away from school, move into the
Yes.
summer that way. So
Yeah, that'll be fun. But let's get into our snake draft. We're gonna do snake drafts of desserts. I think if I remember right, I think you went first last time.
I did go first last time. So you're up first this time. Obviously, it's a straight snake draft order. So I'll let you start with your first pick and the first overall pick of the draft.
Okay, so my first overall pick. Remember, this is what I like. This isn't what the
Yes,
consensus. I think my favorite. I know my favorite dessert is just straight like donuts. I I don't know
that's
if I have to be
fair.
specific donuts, but just donuts.
You can just
I
put donuts. You can just put donuts on.
absolutely
We'll
love
put that on
donuts.
the list. What is your favorite type of donut?
A Boston cream or a what's it called? It's just has white yellow cream
Custard?
inside. Yeah, just like a custard donut. It's so good.
Yeah, I love the chocolate custard donuts, and then If I'm not going chocolate, I go apple fritter. But I'd say those are my two
Yes.
favorite types of donut.
Or those ones like I don't know what they're called, but they're glazed, but they're like look like little ribbons. And they're a hole. They have a hole and
I have no idea what that is.
yeah.
I'll have to see a picture. But yeah,
Yes.
donuts good pick. Obviously, it's a dessert that can be eaten for breakfast, which is a positive in its own right. You can make an excuse to eat it at 9 a.m. in the morning. So donuts
Yes.
off the board first is on my list as well. My first pick is going to be Special K bars.
Those are good.
I mean, just the combination, the crunch, the chocolate. I never get sick of them. I go for them after meals. I go for them whenever. They're just like a perfect dessert. That's a great combination of chocolate and peanut buttery Rice Krispies or whatever. Special K, unreal.
Yes.
All right,
Very, very good.
I got my second one here. I'm going for a dessert that is my favorite in the summertime, and it's extremely expensive to buy. But if I have the money and I'm craving it enough, I go and buy a full one, and it's a Dairy Queen ice cream cake. For
Oh,
some
just
reason,
ice cream cake in general.
ice cream cake in
So
general
good.
is so good. It's so good, especially the Dairy Queen one where they have that little like chocolate like crumbs. I don't even know what they are in the
Yes.
middle with that fudge. It just hits different, and there's nothing like it. So my second
Yes.
pick, the Dairy Queen ice cream cake.
I like it. With my second pick, I gotta go just pie. I absolutely love pie. My favorite kind of pie is probably like maybe an apple pie or a cherry pie with a little whipped cream on top. I love pumpkin pie during Thanksgiving, but just pie in general.
If
You can't go wrong with pie.
if I am choosing a pie, my favorite one is French silk pie.
That is so good.
French silk pie is so good. It's the richest thing ever, but I mean, like the first bite of French silk
Yes,
pie,
so
oh,
good.
I don't think there's a better first bite of anything on the planet.
The some of the one of the best French silk pies you can buy is actually from what's that restaurant called? It's open like 24 hours.
Perkins,
Perkins has great. I don't
unreal,
like any food at Perkins. I think it's horrible.
unreal French silk pie.
They have incredible French
Very good.
silk pie. My second pick, um, whoops. I think I gotta go. Hmm. I had the list and it disappeared.
There's so many good options. Like I had
I know.
trouble ranking them
Oh,
because you really can't go
yes.
wrong.
An ice cream cookie.
Oh, like the ice cream sandwich, but the cookies instead of
Yeah.
the whatever the chocolate,
Yes.
not
It's
bread,
so
but
good. Just when you get like a really good cookie though on the outside and then you bite in, oh, so good. Even like well, I won't say this one if it's one of your picks.
he's not gonna say it. I can try to think of what lines you're going on, but yeah, I mean the ice cream sandwich is on my list. I didn't even think about the cookie kind, but yeah, they are so good, and I feel
Yeah.
like they're a strictly for me a summer thing. But when you eat them in the summer, like it's a quick, easy, doesn't make a mess,
Yeah.
like just a fantastic combination.
Yes.
All right. My next pick, I'm gonna go. I've only had it a couple times because I would assume it's difficult to make. It's definitely difficult to make for me because I don't know how to cook anything, but a molten lava cake. The chocolate
Oh,
cake that's just filled with like fudge chocolate sauce or whatever, and you
yeah.
put your fork into it and it all just flows out. It's just
Yes.
so satisfying to watch and even more satisfying to eat. So molten lava chocolate cake is going to be my third pick, and I'll follow it up with it's a classic. Everyone's had it. Everyone's had it a lot, but it doesn't get any worse. Brownies.
Yes. So good.
I you can always go for brownies. Like if you need
Yes.
some, it's easy to make. I can make it. Just get a box brownie mix and throw a couple things in there. Boom, you got brownies. The little crust on top of the brownies that it makes after you cook them. I don't know. It's just really really good. and you can put it. I'm not a frosting on brownies person, but it's definitely an option that a lot of people go for. So brownies, my fourth pick.
And brownies, you can eat a bunch of them too without it being super rich, depending
Yeah,
on if there's frosty or not. My last pick is, I
you got
think it's
two
just
more.
oh, I do. So my last two picks are so this one I'm gonna go cheesecake. I think it's one of my favorite desserts in general. I like to put a little maybe strawberry. Mostly I just like to put caramel, but honestly, I could eat a cheesecake plain and be very, very happy with it as well. Cheesecake is just good all the way around.
I think I'm not a huge cheesecake guy, but I think that's just because I was like a stubborn child who just heard the words cheese and cake combined and immediately just thought, ew, that's nasty. So I've never been a cheesecake person, but that's probably just like my youth brain psyching me out
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. And then see, this one's difficult because we're missing a very, very important dessert that could go on nearly all of our listed desserts. But I don't know if it's one of my favorite or not. But I really can't think of anything else. So I'm gonna go. No, I have a different one. I'm gonna go just cupcake.
It's a safe pick. Everyone likes
Yeah,
cupcakes.
cupcakes. You can get them at so many stores, and they make them so good. And you can put a lot of frosting on, a little frosting on, and it's a little small thing. The little small cupcakes are so good. You just put the whole thing in your mouth and eat it. Um, but yeah, cupcakes, they're always good.
And I feel like cupcakes are universally more liked than like a full cake.
Yeah, they're
Like
much easier to eat.
much easier to eat. You can like portion it out correctly so you're not eating half a cake and you just have a small cupcake. So yeah, cupcakes obviously good option. Everyone likes them. Last one, I'm just gonna go a staple of the dessert. The dessert, like your go-to if you're eating this kind of dessert, it's a chocolate chip cookie. My favorite cookie by far. It's a classic, it's basic, but a chocolate chip cookie. If you have a good chocolate chip cookie, like homemade chocolate chip cookies, you got the cookie dough as well, which I also could have gone cookie dough because that's another fantastic dessert.
Yes.
But chocolate chip cookies, nothing like beats a warm chocolate chip cookie straight out of the oven with the gooey chocolate. It's just so
True.
good.
Let's see, what I was gonna say was ice cream because
Yeah,
that
I
could
mean
go on all of or nearly all of our desserts.
that's
Pretty
true.
much, and
Ice
make it
cream is
good
so
too.
versatile. Like especially with
Yes.
desserts, like it cools
Oh,
down.
with a nice hot brownie, ice cream
Yeah.
is
Like
amazing.
you put it on something rich, like really rich chocolate, and it tastes good automatically. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I really
well, go ahead.
I really can't think of any other honorable mentions. I think we
I have a
mentioned pretty much.
couple. I had a milkshake on my honorable
Oh yeah.
mentions. Milkshake oh, they're so good.
Yeah.
Rice Krispie treats. I mean, I feel like that was like one of the first desserts every kid ate. Um, what else? Oh, I don't have anything else on there, but yeah, there was just so many options. I narrowed the list down only because we had five picks, but I mean, just looking at list of desserts, everything looks like I
So
want to
good.
eat it after we're done
Ooh,
recording.
cannolis. Cannolis are
I've
so.
never had a cannoli.
Oh my goodness. There's a place everybody knows right down the road from the X. I
Mhm.
forgot the name of it. That Italian restaurant.
Oh,
The best.
I know what you're talking about. It's like
Everybody's gonna be
cafeteria
screaming.
style.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be screaming at their phone
Oh
if
my
they're from the
god.
cities. But it's
Every time I go to a wild game, I go to this place, so this is gonna piss me
um
off.
yeah, same. And every state hockey, that's the place to go after a game. And growing up, even watching. But yeah,
Casetas.
they have, yes, Casetas has the best cannolis
Yeah.
out there and the best food. They have a little bakery in there though.
Yeah,
Great,
really good
great
food.
cannolis.
Well, that wraps it up. I don't know. I feel like this week is gonna be really, really close. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I
everybody
mean,
loves these.
everyone loves the food ones because I mean, basically every single person that follows us or even sees the tweets has had like every single one of these items, so they have an
Yeah.
opinion on each one, which usually does well, and people can either get pissed at us for our stupid picks or praise us for great picks that we made. So
Yeah.
it's fun. It's always fun.
Yeah, and it's a short, sweet episode today. We didn't have much going on in the sports world. After the draft, there's not much to talk about until the season really gets underway. So
Until the Vikings sign DD Westbrook or Ryan Kerrigan.
yes, yes, I cannot stop seeing that everywhere.
Literally everything on Twitter since the Vikings draft has just been DD
I would
Westbrook or Ryan Kerrigan.
put money on us not getting either one of those guys, but if we do,
Yeah.
that's
And I know Rick said after the draft they're going to be a little bit active in like the second wave of free agency here, but
yeah.
who knows?
I
There's
also
still so many guys left available in free agent
yeah
because a lot of teams have salary cap issues this offseason. So we're going to see a
yeah.
lot of guys get signed all the way through training camp. So there's still a lot of time for the Vikings to move on a couple free agents.
I also saw DD Westbrook was getting Kansas City Chiefs interest, and the players
Yeah.
were trying to get him there. So he's not going to come to the
Yeah, would
Vikings.
you rather play in a pass heavy offense with the best quarterback in the NFL and Patrick Mahomes,
Or be
or
the
play
third guy
for
on a run
or
offense.
play for the Bengals or the Vikings, who or I guess the Bengals try to be pass heavy, but they're not good, and or the Vikings, who are a run heavy team. But I also know that he's really good friends with Joe Mixon too.
Oh,
So if I'm looking at those three teams right now, just what I've seen, I would think that the Vikings are probably third on that list, but who knows?
yeah, I'd have to agree with that. But that'll wrap up this episode. We'll be back next week with maybe some questions. Again, we'll go back into that, and then another snake draft, and then maybe the playoffs. We'll be back with some playoff overview and some sneak peeks, and that's all I got.
I think that's all we got. We kind of covered everything. Yeah, we'll see a couple seasons winding down. We still got a while till the Viking season starts. We're in the middle of the twin season, or what is the twin season this year. It's kind of hard to watch, but yeah, we a little bit of a slow period. I know we're pretty heavy a Vikings podcast, so we do most of our content then. But we always love putting out other sports too, because we follow them all, and we're invested in them all. So we just like talking about it, giving our perspectives on things, and hopefully you guys enjoy hearing that as well, because I know any sports talk to me is always interesting, no matter who's talking. So
Absolutely. And as always,
you like that.